PMG.net. And before we get started, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping. You can ask questions via the chat window. I will take questions at the end of the event. The webinar is scheduled for 30 minutes. As I said, you can email me with questions at cfernandez@pmg.net. A copy of the slide deck, as well as a recording of the webinar and the PMG survey results, will be provided to you after the event. So what is cloud sprawl? Well, cloud sprawl is a situation caused by the rapidly increasing use of cloud services that include file sharing services such as Google Drive, iCloud, Dropbox, as well as social collaboration tools like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. In fact, I was on LinkedIn just before this webinar. All of this leads to what can be termed as cloud sprawl disruption. Well, that's a mouthful. Isn't it? Well, cloud sprawl disruption, in an article published by Inc. magazine, 2 Goldman Sachs analysts in the cloud space stated that. So they went ahead and they stated 2 things. 1, cloud computing has wreaked havoc on the traditional PC-centric hardware and software model. Furthermore, they stated that the cloud model is next likely to disrupt digital networking. Well, PMG was curious about this cloud disruption and decided to conduct a survey, the PMG Cloud Sprawl Survey. But before we dive into the results, let's go ahead and start with a little survey background information. The survey was a blind survey of IT pros in North America. It was comprised of 234 corporate IT pros. The makeup of survey respondents included 54% within IT management, primarily supervisors, managers, or directors, and 16% were senior IT executives, including VPs and C-level individuals. Of the companies participating in the survey, 51% had more than $500 million in revenue. 37% had 5,000 plus employees. So these were some pretty large companies that were being surveyed. 61% had IT departments of 51 or more employees. And the industries encompassed everything from IT to consulting to healthcare to financial services to manufacturing and retail. So what did the survey yield? Well, our survey discovered that more than half of the respondents, 52%, felt that cloud sprawl had negative impacts within their organizations. A deeper dive into this troubling aspect uncovered that most of the biggess concerns encompass security as well as compliance. IT pros felt that extranets increased security risks because of the firewalls, wireless LANs, and some types of virtualization storage being used. They could be attacked and the data could be compromised. Additionally, most felt that these concerns went in hand with, guess what? Well, the apps that were being discovered. The biggest offenders, again, social media apps like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Skype, followed by data sharing apps such as Dropbox, SkyDrive, and Google Drive. Yet the funny thing is, 65% of the respondents didn't decide whether to deny or approve the application until post-discovery. I'd like to emphasize that. These evaluations, I should say, came after usage was discovered. So employees were using these applications and cloud services for an unknown amount of time. In most cases, the damage here was already done. Even still, in cases where these apps were denied by IT, users still found the way to gain access to them and circumvent IT by using what? Their own devices. The survey showed that 64% believed that BYOD would result in even more cloud usage. IT knows. They know it. They know that employees are going to want their apps and that they're going to find a way to use them, with or without IT approval or knowledge. They're just going to be circumvented. However, it's not all dark skies. There is a silver lining, so IT doesn't need to fret. 69% of the respondents said that the hybrid cloud was the wave of the future. Why? Well, because cloud solutions are deployed faster, deliver better value, and meet user requirements better. Additionally, the survey indicated that the majority of IT pros agree that cloud usage will rise over the course of the next year and a half. Within the next 18 months, it's going to go ahead and increase. 82% of our respondents felt this way. That's a pretty large number. So this begs the question, what impact will this rising cloud usage have on IT infrastructure? Well, organizations will face issues with scalability. They're going to face issues with manageability of these services, as well as security around these services. Most importantly, profitability is going to be an issue, the bottom line, the amount of money that the company makes. And the impacts could be huge. In fact, a Forbes article on the 4 ways to prevent cloud sprawl warns CIOs to strategically plan and manage their cloud environments so that they may avoid the dangers inherent with cloud sprawl. So, how can CIOs wrap their hands around cloud management, around the cloud and manage these impacts? Well, that's a great question. Cloud sprawl can be contained and managed with, guess what, an enterprise service catalog. That's right, an enterprise service catalog can help CIOs get their arms around cloud services. They can regain control of their business processes, and the catalog will enable IT to better serve its business users while providing employees all of the enterprise and cloud infrastructure services they come to need. It can also deliver them in a cost-effective and timely manner so users are less inclined to circumvent IT. If you take a look at the diagram, you can see that customers would come into an enterprise service catalog, and they'd have that one view into the entire organization, from finance to IT to HR to facilities. All those services can be ordered, including IT cloud infrastructure services. In fact, the service catalog will go ahead and provide that single pane of glass where customers can come in and order any prize service. And like I showed you in this previous slide, from any department, including those cloud IT infrastructure services. They can go ahead and view the status of their cloud requests in real time as well. And once provisioned, those managed servers, well, guess what? They can go ahead and take a look at those subscriptions. They can go ahead and manage those services, all self-service without having IT involved in the process. Additionally, an enterprise service catalog will provide IT the ability to go ahead and define and control the services made available to their customers, both internally and externally. Again, it's that hybrid situation. You can provide cloud services in the public and as well as internal cloud services to your users. The service catalog will also allow the decoupling of the fulfillment and the request process for IT by controlling the service delivery process through a workflow, thereby avoiding those bottlenecks that we've come to be used to in getting our services delivered to us. Finally, IT will have access to reporting that can go ahead and provide information on request volume, request type, user type, those services that have been provisioned, as well as the time to delivery and so on. As we can see, a service catalog, an enterprise service catalog, in fact, is a powerful tool. But how can an enterprise service catalog address these issues? Specifically, how can it address the impact of cloud services around security, manageability, scalability, and again, that most important question, profitability? Well, if we go back to our survey, it indicated that one of the biggest issues is security. In fact, 79% of our respondents felt this way. Well, if you don't know where your server is actually being hosted, well, guess what? You don't know who's maintaining it or what security policies are in place. So basically, you really don't know whether your data is safe or if your data is even going to be there tomorrow. Keep in mind, customers don't always stop to consider the security risks and the potential legal ramifications when securing cloud services on their own. Let's have a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at a quick example, why don't we? Your marketing team prefers to run their large campaigns on a cloud server. And if IT can't deliver in time, what's marketing going to do? Well, without fail, it's going to go outside of IT to keep that project on pace. It's going to go ahead and procure the services it needs outside the organization. What it does is it's going to go ahead and overlook the proper security measures that could go ahead and compromise, that customer data. So what's going to happen? It could possibly lead to and have potential legal ramifications. This is just a disaster that's waiting to happen. And it will result in IT having to come in after the fact to go ahead and clean up that mess, even though they didn't create it. So how can this be prevented? Well, you need to keep IT involved. A catalog ensures customers route their cloud service needs through IT. That's an enterprise service catalog. It's going to ensure that their customers are going to go ahead and route their needs through it. A catalog is also going to keep IT involved by ensuring that the customer goes to only one place. Again, that single pane of glass. The customers are just going to come in and just order everything through it. Finally, it'll ensure that proper security measures are in place. By having a service catalog, IT can also go ahead and manage those cloud services. CIOs need to recognize that cloud computing, it's here to stay. They need to let employees know that they understand their needs and are willing to work with them. CIOs need to understand that until IT can deliver services as good as the public cloud options, IT will continue to be circumvented and users will go outside to go ahead and get the services they need. Our survey found that 38% turned to the cloud because it offered faster deployment than internal resources, and business users didn't trust that IT would deliver in a timely or cost-effective manner. Let's go back to that marketing example, why don't we? Marketing secured outside cloud services because IT could not get what they needed quickly. This allowed them to manage their own cloud services on their terms and in their time frame. With marketing, timing is critical. In fact, everything is critical. Imagine not being ready for a Super Bowl campaign until 2 days after that Super Bowl had already taken place. That wouldn't be a good thing. Managing cloud services is all about customer confidence in IT's ability to deliver. So how does IT regain that user confidence? Well, through education. IT needs to begin the dialogue on these issues of cloud services with their users. It needs to assure its users that it is working on response time, and it needs to provide visibility into those cloud services. Finally, IT should promote the benefits of a service catalog as a mechanism to do a few things: to improve response time, to ensure that the users get their services in a timely manner, to provide an effective way to secure those cloud services so that the data is secure and you know that your data will be there tomorrow, to provide insight into order and subscription status so the users know exactly where their order is at any given moment and what that time and what time that service and order is going to be delivered. So there's a lot of things that IT can go ahead and do to go ahead and regain that user confidence. This also goes in hand with manageability, and manageability also goes in hand with scalability. IT needs to keep up rather than play catch-up. It needs to stay current. Oops, sorry, still having technical difficulties. Scalability. It needs to go ahead and keep up rather than play catch-up. It needs to stay current and grow as needs increase. It needs to realize that if the service catalog is not kept up to date with the latest needs, customers are going to continue to go around IT. Let's take a look at a different example. Or you can even relate it back to the marketing example. A business may at first only need a server, but additional needs related to that server are going to go ahead and pop up. Things such as firewalls, applications, software, additional CPU, more disk space, and backup. And IT needs to accommodate these things quickly, but how? Well, the unfortunate reality is that most service catalogs require development resources to make changes, which in rolling out or modifying the new services. This is going to go ahead and present challenges to the business users and to their needs as the business needs develop, right? So the result, well, the business users are going to do what they do best and what they did initially. They're going to go ahead and go outside of IT to go ahead and procure those additional services. The solution, again, is to obtain a service catalog that is easy for both IT teams and customers. It's going to go ahead and be flexible enough to quickly add additional offerings in a timely manner, and one that's able to scale and meet the needs of the entire enterprise. Most critical in selecting the service catalog, however, is that IT teams need to avoid catalogs that require development resources to make updates. Your users cannot wait for a developer to come in to modify an existing service or to create a new service that they can go ahead and consume. IT teams need to focus on not obtaining service catalogs that require these development resources. Remember, a service catalog should be easy to use for its IT teams to use and manage, as well as for their customers to use. Once IT illustrates that they can go ahead and deliver cloud services and offerings quickly and cost effectively, these business users will be more likely to enlist internal resources for their needs, reducing that renegade cloud sprawl. But what about the bottom line of, well, whoops, sorry about that, profitability? Well, as we've been saying, business users will find a way to go ahead and get their request completed effectively and quickly. Look, if a user has a tight launch window and IT is slow to respond, they will go out to an outside provider to get the server. Then, rather than coming from the IT budget, the user would go ahead and charge that expense to his or her expense account. This is going to go ahead and result in two things. One, the expense, that expense is going to be buried in some budget line item, within that department's expense report. And because no one is really managing, this cloud, this external cloud service, what's going to happen is that there's just going to be recurring charges. It's going to be left up and running, and on a monthly basis, the expense account is just the payments are going to be made long after its intended use. Another thing to keep in mind is that employees usually tend to overbuy, and they purchase larger service or more services than they actually need. If we take a look at our last marketing example, that marketing example we were talking about, well, marketing circumvented and purchased outside of IT. The expense was then billed to one of marketing's cost centers. The Super Bowl was over, the campaign ended, and what happened? No one canceled the service, and the recurring billing went on and on, eating into the campaign's profits. Cloud sprawl can and does result in no visibility for CIOs into the total cost of cloud expenditures. CIOs need to get the complete picture of these cloud expenditures. So what's the solution? Well, with an enterprise service catalog, CIOs can eliminate buried cloud costs. They can reduce those instances of cloud services that are often left unmanaged and driving up those costs. And they can also minimize expenses by having clear visibility into the cost of those services. By working with customers, CIOs can develop an effective strategy, thereby giving IT visibility into purchases so that they can go ahead and ensure that the right technology is in place in timely fashion and that the expenses are minimized and costs are clearly presented. Well, how can the PMG service catalog help in all this? Well, it can help end users by providing an interface that gives them the ability to do self-service provisioning of servers, workstation, any type of services, really. The ability to go ahead and add software and components to those servers once they've been ordered. Users have the capability of managing their own machines and managing those machines, those servers, by adding disk space, RAM, CPUs, software, applications, and even being able to perform power operations so that the IT administrators can focus on the administration of IT as opposed to having to deal with additional services that users need for the machines. The users can go ahead and manage their own machines, and IT can go ahead and focus on other IT-related situations. Finally, reporting capabilities can be presented to the user so that they can see exactly where their IT spend is at any given time. For the IT, the Enterprise Service Catalog can go ahead and provide the ability to create and modify virtual infrastructure services without developer assistance. And again, this is important. IT does not need developer assistance. They can go in and modify their own services, create new services, and provide them to the users in timely fashion. Can also offer, Enterprise Service Catalog can also offer tighter security around services and limit what services may be obtained by users. An Enterprise Service Catalog can also help IT manage those provisioned services. Similar to the way the users are able to manage their services, the administrators can also help in managing those services as well, or servers, I should say. And finally, an Enterprise Service Catalog can provide IT a view into the cost of those services so that they can maintain a proactive approach to cost control. So in summary, our survey indicates that, well, cloud services are here to stay, and that customers will circumvent IT at every opportunity. As long as they can't get the services they need from IT, they will go outside and procure those services. But there is a way to prevent this. An Enterprise Service Catalog can go help with those security concerns. It can help with the manageability of those services. It can help with scalability by providing the mechanism to be able to deploy new services and modify existing services quickly without the need for development work. And most importantly, it's that bottom line, profitability. An Enterprise Service Catalog, by providing that single pane of glass, will give IT a clear picture as to the cost spent as to the spending on all services being procured by the users within the organization. I'd like to thank you for your time this afternoon. Our webinar has completed, and I will go ahead and take, I think we actually have 3 minutes, so I will go ahead and take a couple of questions at this time. All right, so let's see. So the Enterprise Service Catalog, how long does it take to install the product and get it up and running? Well, the product is installed pretty quickly. You can get it up and running usually in less than a day. It's not difficult at all. Is it customizable? Yes, the PMG Service Catalog is fully customizable. Both workflows and forms. There's a very powerful tool. There's even a content management system and a theming engine to get the catalog with just that right look and feel for your organization. Your cloud solution, does it come with what does it say? Can I use the cloud solution with my custom provisioning solution? You sure can. It certainly integrates within it. And we can have it tie into any cloud solution or provisioning solution that you have. What does your Service Catalog integrate with? Well, it integrates with a host of ITSM tools, but for the cloud, it'll integrate with Amazon EC2, VMware Center, VMware vCenter, VMware vCloud Automation, Cloud Director, Microsoft Hyper-V, OpenStack, HP Cloud Service Automation, and a litany of others. Can your catalog run in standalone mode, or does it need to run in conjunction with the Service Catalog? No, the cloud. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, no, the cloud solution is part of the Service Catalog, so it'll need to run with the Service Catalog as well. Any more questions? We've got about 30 seconds. No, that's it. All right, well, thank you again for your time today, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Again, the webinar will be made available, a recording of this webinar will be made available to you, as well as the slide deck and the results of our survey. Thank you again, and have a good day.